blowouts and then touch on the SEC and then answer any questions you might have. I wanted to begin with the ICT blowouts. Here's another example of Jacinta Allen's Labor government not being able to manage money, and they certainly can't manage ICT projects, whether it's the North East Link, the Westgate Tunnel, Melbourne Metro, now it's ICT projects, whether it's WorkSafe, water boards, the courts, all projects right across the whole range of government services are blowing out, and Victorians are paying the price. Here we have an IT program which has about just under $3 billion worth of projects. About $100 billion worth of those projects contain projects that are all blowing out. As I said, right across the range of government services, all across government, projects are blowing out. Not just construction projects like Westgate Tunnel and North East Link, but WorkSafe's analytics hub, blown out by tens of billions of dollars. The Melbourne Magistrates Court case management system, blowing out by $40 million. Greater Western Water has blown out. So whatever it is, Jacinta Allen's Labor government simply can't be trusted to manage money on behalf of Victorians, and we all pay the price for that. It's up to the government to demonstrate what it's going to do to fix this and get these programs back within budget. But clearly, at a time of a cost of living crisis, Victorians will have every right to be concerned that the Allen Labor government doesn't get the message that it's got to start spending taxpayer dollars responsibly and make sure that these blowouts don't occur in the future. Just on the SEC, we see today talk that the government's SEC will not be subject to competition rules, which have long been in place to ensure fairness between government, corporations and the private sector. Make no mistake, if Jacinta Allen's SEC is not subject to competition, then the absence of competition will mean only one thing: higher power prices. And Victorians will feel the pain of that when they get their bills in the future. If the private sector, which has to provide all of the investment for the most part that will help us transition to renewables in the future, if they are crowded out, then what that means is there'll be less supply. As a result of less supply, power prices and the costs of generating and distributing energy will simply go up, and Victorians will pay a higher price for that. We've always said that the government's SEC was just a con to win an election. And what we're now seeing is that the government is trying to enshrine that in the Constitution, and now if it means that the SEC will not be subject to competition rules, then Victorians will pay a higher price. I'll take some questions.
Just quickly on the IT blowouts, cybersecurity is a big problem at the moment. More than 90% of government departments, I think, flagged some sort of attack in the past 12 months according to their previous reports. So I know they're spending a bit more, but doesn't it make sense that they're probably spending a bit more to beef up their security?
Obviously, we need to upgrade our IT systems right across government, but we need to do it within the budget envelopes that are allocated. And when we see budget blowouts of over $100 million, with 70 odd of the projects of the roughly 260 odd projects that are underway all blowing out, that's a concern. And in a time of a cost of living crisis, all of those extra costs get paid for by Victorian households and businesses, and that's not fair. Victorians have every right to expect that Jacinta Allen and her government will manage the finances of the state in a responsible way. IT projects particularly to make sure that consumers and all Victorians get better access to services, that we guard against cyber security threats, all very desirable outcomes. But that doesn't mean that the government can be irresponsible when it comes to managing the projects, and whether it's the North East Link, whether it's Westgate Tunnel, whether it's WorkSafe's analytics hub or the Magistrates Court case management system, right across government we're seeing mismanagement and the costs of these blowouts being borne by Victorian households and businesses.
We were talking about housing with Minister Shing this morning. Again, government keeps saying 9,200 social and affordable homes have actually been delivered. The actual number's 3,611 odd. The rest are still under construction. Are they telling Victorians a lie when it comes to their big housing build?
I think the Allen Labor government is not being truthful with the Victorian people. It tells one lie after another about its housing statement. It doesn't have the settings in place, and it doesn't have the plan that will actually reduce the cost of building houses so we can build more. And many of the delays with new stock coming to the market sit at the feet of the Allen Labor government. They're the ones holding things up. And if it got out of the way, reduced taxes and other costs of building homes, we would see many more homes come into the market, so Victorians would have easier access to buying a home. We've seen in Victoria approvals go down. We're seeing construction completions go down, yet rents went up 11% last year. And that's not fair on Victorians who have every right to expect that they can access a home that they can afford.
Do you think build to rent is a good option?
We're happy to see a range of financial models that underpin the construction of new supply come onto the market. If it works, great, let's see more of it. But ultimately, what's holding Victoria back is a high tax regime and a government that doesn't support the businesses and the investment that will be absolutely crucial for these houses being built. Because make no mistake, Tim Pallas and Jacinta Allen are not going to be the ones actually building the homes. It's going to be those construction firms and the businesses and investors who will support that outcome. And if you're making it harder for them to invest in Victoria because of our crippling debt, skyrocketing work cover premiums, higher payroll taxes than anywhere else in the country, what's the only result you can expect? Investors look elsewhere.
Are you concerned that a drop in the number of new apprentices will hamper Victoria's capacity to meet its housing targets?
We need the workforce that's going to deliver more housing in our state. And when we're seeing the number of apprentices decline, that's a worrying sign. We've had a 21% decrease in Victoria. And that's not acceptable, and it doesn't bode well for the delivery of more housing stock. We need a system of skills attainment that produces more apprentices, more tradies. We're going to need more than ever as our population grows and the needs of our state grow as well.
What should the government be doing to encourage more people to become apprentices?
Well, I think governments everywhere have to support this, and federal and state governments need to do more to encourage more people into the trades, not see them as a second-class career pathway. They can be very rewarding, and we want to encourage more people into these professions and trades. We've also got to make sure that the concerns of industry and employers are being heard, because they're the ones who are crying out for the resources and the staffing and workforce needs that are not being met. So we need a government that's actually going to work with the construction sector and all of those sectors that are going to help deliver important outcomes like more housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
That's all we need.
Thanks, John.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, John.